My name is Ella Irby. So, I want to share a story with you about my life growing up. It starts a while ago when, I was younger and I used to live in a very small town. It was located in Arkansas. It was a town called Sherrill. It was really close to another town called Pine Bluff, Arkansas. It was mainly farm out there, farm area. So, my parents had decided to move to Wabaseka, Arkansas. And it's not too far from Sherrill, maybe about 30 miles or so. Yeah, again, it is about 30 miles from Sherrill. So at that time, I was getting ready to start school, and it was a public school, and it was in Wabaseka. So I was a little girl, and I was actually hearing when I was younger, and I was not deaf at that time. So I was going to school for about 4 years at this public school, and I was, top student of my class at that specific school. And then there was only one girl that was deaf, but she didn't have um, any involvement in the class because she had a little bit of a behavior problem. She would go to school with her, brother and sister, and while they were in class, she would have to stay out in the hallway, and she'd have to wait for them to be done with class, and then she'd be ready to go to lunch, and that's when she got to be involved with them. And she didn't have any type of communication. She didn't know any sign. All she did was kind of smile and laugh and nod her head. So, at the time when I was 9, that is when I became deaf. And I didn't know that I was going to be going to a school, and they didn't have an interpreter there for communication. I had no way of talking. So my mom and dad, went out and looking for a different school. They found a school located in Little Rock, Arkansas. So at that time, my parents moved me to go to that school for better communication. And it was kind of strange. The little girl that was deaf there also went with me. We both went to the same school in Little Rock. So now at the time I was 10. And so I was getting ready to go into this school. And when I went in, there were so many students. And they were so fluent in their sign language, in their ASL. I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know any sign language. I tried to pick up a little bit of finger spelling, a few weeks before I went to this school. I tried learning a lot of the ABCs and the alphabet, and was kind of expecting and hoping that when I went into the school, I could make friends easier knowing the alphabet, showing them that, I'm deaf and I'm kind of trying to pick up their language, but I was incorrect. They were not content with the amount of learning or sign language that I knew because they were all so fluent in their language, and I had never experienced anything like that. So I was a little confused on how and exactly I was supposed to learn that language. There was no teachers that would teach us to teach us sign language at all. So in class, when we would go into the classrooms, the teachers typically would just sit up on the board or sit up at the table, writing down on the blackboard what she was going to be teaching that day. And she would expect the deaf students to, go up to the board, and she would point at the board with a piece of wood, maybe like a ruler. And, it'd be about like the weather of the day, if it was sunny. And again, is it raining? Just different little topics and comments. And so, I would try to learn from that teacher. When she would point to the word on the sign or the board, the other deaf students would produce that sign or sign that word, and then I would kind of slowly pick up the language from doing that every day. That continued for quite a while. There was no teacher who knew sign language within the school. There was another class that I was in, and it was called home ec class. And the teacher, you know, tried her best to learn some of the signs and how to, possibly teach the students how to cook and sew and clean the clothes, clean our clothes. But she would do it by observing the deaf in their sign language, and I would try to help her out because I could still voice since I was hearing for quite a while. So I would voice for those students and try to explain to the teacher what was going on. So I was kind of like helping her teach home economics during that time. So also, there was another class that I was in, math. In this math class, the teacher was kind of deaf and hard of hearing, but he was more incorporated in the hearing world. He could sign a little bit, but uh, just not enough that it matched the students. He was just more in this hearing world of just speaking, everything like that. He would just write up on the board what he was doing for the day and expect, the deaf students to just copy it off the board. But he would write things, for example, like 2 plus 2 equals 4. But the thing is, everyone in the class already knew the answer. We had already learned that. I mean, we were in the 4th grade. So, we just kind of kept quiet and patient and just kind of accepted what he was teaching. So later on, a social worker had helped us with a speech class. And they would always write up on the board as well, and you'd sit in your chair and she would read her book or her newspaper. And I kind of thought, the students were kind of mischievous and stuff like that and be voicing all the time and speaking, and the woman would hear everything that was going on. So she asked me to come up to her, and she wanted me to start reading her lips. And that's kind of what she said. She wants you to read my lips, and I will teach you how to do that. So first I thought, that's a pretty good deal, but later on, the students didn't really like that I was voicing for her constantly, and voicing in general. So a lot of the students and everyone got really frustrated with me, and I got a little nervous and scared because I wasn't making any friends with the students. And that was because, the teachers were wanting me to voice for them. And all the deaf, just didn't like that. They would make fun of me and kind of bully me and pick on me. So I kind of went over to my friend that was deaf that I kind of kept for a while. And I kind of explained to her, like, every day. I mean, I didn't want to continue voicing. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to learn sign language, but I couldn't sign. So one day I thought it was really interesting. I kind of got real frustrated and embarrassed. I mean, all the students were picking on me and everything. So I kind of decided that if I just tell the teacher how I feel and that I was getting mad about the situation, that maybe that they would kind of leave me alone. So it kind of finally happened. So one of the teachers came up to me and I just kind of kept quiet. And she kind of was like, will you voice, like, read what's going on in my mouth? And I just kind of looked at her and she was mad. I was starting to get a little frustrated and mad. And, I'm not required to voice for these teachers. I'm the only student and everyone is bullying and picking on me. And I know it's not required. That's a lot of pressure on me. And, I had to take all this suffering until, one day I just kind of blew up. I got so mad. So I told that teacher to go to hell because I was fed up. So the woman kind of like looked at me, and everything got really quiet. And so I just sat back down on my chair, and from then on they had never again asked me or the students or anyone to voice for them from there on out. At a different class, it was science. The teacher was a woman, and man, she was just so mean. She couldn't sign anything. She required us to read this book quietly, very quietly, and if she saw us chatting on the side or anything like that, she would take the wood and smack it on the table and yell at us. She would tell us to continue reading our books, keep our nose in our books. So that's what we did. So later, the woman had decided that I wanted to start learning some more sign because I couldn't sign. So I found a book that taught me some sign language. So I started going around to the students. All the students were laughing because I would start signing these things out of this book. And the students would copy me, and some of the students would use, bad signs. And she would write up on the board good and stuff like that. And it was pretty bad what was going on. And I just couldn't understand the communication the students were saying during the class. And I was kind of confused why the teachers couldn't sign. You're deaf, why don't you sign? It was just an awful situation. So later on, there was another man that was in class. He kind of knew a little bit of sign. He was pretty good looking as well. And he worked in a shop classroom and would teach the boys how to do that, while the other side, the girls would be in a press room, and we would be learning how to wash our clothes, iron them, fold them, and stuff like that. Take care of our clothes and how to hang them up. Things that typical women would do during that time. And we would show them how we did it. So the principal of that school, he was blind. He could not see. The principal would kind of fingerspell a little bit here and there. It was enough for me to kind of understand what was going on and catch a little bit of what he was saying. So I was in the classroom one day, and it happened that one of the other students got in trouble and was sent to the principal's office. And then all of a sudden, I saw my name sign come up, and I thought, oh no, I'm in trouble now. So I went into the principal's office, and he spelled out my name, Ella Irby, and went on with this list and just kept fingerspelling a few things. So, I'm not that experienced with the fingerspelling, but I could kind of pick it up a little bit. And so then the deaf lady was like, oh, whatever, don't really care. And so I was just like, oh, okay, I don't understand. What exactly did he say? And I was just, okay, I'll accept this. He would work the plan and everything. And he kept taking me and bringing me into the office to help interpret for those students, because that's what I did for that other student, was interpret, and he got mad at me. Everything there just kind of went over my head, and I would tell him what was going on, but I could not believe what was going on with me. And I told you that sometimes people create problems, and you have to work through that, and you have to defend yourself in those situations. And that's why, I told my mom and or this lady to go to hell, because I didn't feel like it was my job to do that. I needed to defend myself. And same with the principal. He was using me as an interpreter, and I needed to defend myself in this situation. So after all this happened, when I was older, I, I didn't I didn't have to go to school. I just kind of left school. And it happened that they started to desegregate. They brought in a lot more white individuals within our school. And because before it was just all black students, I had never seen a white student till the time that it was time for me to leave the school. And I did not graduate. I did get a piece of paper that was rolled up all nice, with a little red clip on it. So when I opened it, I kind of read it, and it said, hearing Ella Irby, one of the most outstanding students. So I looked at it, just kind of laughed it off. In the back of my head, that wasn't enough for me. I didn't like it. I didn't like that they said that about me. So I brought it to my mom, and she thought it was an amazing thing. But, all I did was interpret for the entire time for them. I didn't learn anything. Just get rid of it. I was not happy with myself. It really bothered me. So later on, I felt like it was time for me to kind of like look for a job. And I knew how to find a job. I had to find a place that I could live first, find a rooming board, and then find a job. So I found a job, but it just wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. I was making just enough to, pay rent, buy food. Before, living was a little bit cheaper back then, but now, it's a little bit different. So the first job, I just wasn't really satisfied with it. So I went and I found another job, and kind of the same thing. I just didn't like it. So I finally found, and I heard about this other job that a lot of deaf people were working at. It's called Timex, where they made watches. It was kind of a factory, you know. So I went in and I kind of checked it out, and they hired me like right away, and I was amazed. So what I was doing was I'd be working on assembly line, and I had never done that before, but I pick up quick. I'm a quick learner. And so over the time, I kind of ended up becoming pretty skillful, and I, advanced in the company there, and I had been there for 2 years. Um, and I'd been there till, I reached this standard limit where it's time to get like a raise. So when you get there, you work and you reach this standard limit, this standard job title, and then you get promoted. And it didn't matter if you were deaf or hard of hearing or hearing in general. So at that time, my boss, he he wasn't really needing to retire or step down, but he did put down on the piece of paper my name so that I could be head of the department up there. But they had hired a hard of hearing man, and he didn't have any experience signing, anything like that. So they didn't really want to hire this new hard of hearing guy. And so it was kind of confusing because my boss let me know about this job, and I wanted it. So I just kind of stayed there quietly. So then the hard of hearing guy, they actually ended up putting out into the loud factory where, he would work. and feed things into the machines. So something happened one day, and he ended up going to, the hospital for his leg. And I saw the interpreter there. It was a woman, it was a law lawyer, and other kind of deaf people that I didn't really know. And they told me just kind of wait and see on what our rights were and everything like that. So they kind of questioned me a little bit. I just kind of told them everything that I knew. So they let me know that my boss did step down and they were allowing the process to kind of go through, and they let me know that the job would be opening. But I decided that I really wanted to go get my GED. I kind of wanted to finish and I wanted to graduate so that if I did reach that requirement to go over the standard and get that promotion, that I would have my GED and have my degree and be graduated. So I kind of wanted to go to Gallaudet, and I met with the person, and they said, okay, we'll set up an appointment for you to, discuss that. That is your right. So it's time for me to go, for this meeting. And I went in, the man had just kind of, the man that I was supposed to meet kind of like left out the back door, and the lady told me she was going to go look for him and see where he's at. Just hold on one moment. And so she went out looking for him and couldn't find this guy that I was supposed to be meeting with for a Gallaudet information and to let him know what I wanted to do. I kind of got a little bit angry because that was my life. And again, that's that was what I wanted. I wanted to start. I wanted to get a GED. I want to start taking care of myself. So after that, I went in and I did graduate, and now I'm a lab director. And I'm still here currently working as a lab director. And I teach ASL, and I help the ASL students out. And I really enjoy what I do now. USLR. And it's like, the teachers there are so friendly and nice, and the president as well. LR organization. And it also involves many different things and tasks. It's an organization for role models for the black and deaf community. So thank you.